Shrimanji here and Ma also to be part of this your USA tour. That too at the East Coast. Very happy to have you.
Yes, sir. Very happy to be here. It's always a great feeling being with Namratha. She's very close to our heart.
My Saubhagya. I have few questions, Ji, that I thought it's been there in my mind since a long time. First thing is that we come here with a lot of dreams. We want to fulfill certain dreams. We come here and in the process, it's like we think home is India, but we are here. Like if you take me, it's been 10 years I'm here, but my mind is like half there where it says my home is India. I'm not completely there. I'm not completely here, and I'm really thankful for the country that it has provided me with lots of things. But at the same time, how to handle that? I feel I'm not fitting into this world, or I'm not there. And with my parents being aging right now, so it's always a debatable question in my mind that should I stay here? Should I completely go back for the age or for all the things that I miss? Taking, if you take festivities also, everything we miss. So how to handle this confusion in our mind?
Okay. Let me first provide a deeper perspective. Okay. Drawing from the Siddha's parampara. Now, what you have described from a spiritual angle, if we look at, okay, you are coming from home out here, and hence the feeling of not being at home haunts you, right?
Yes.
Similar is the case with all Jivatmas who come to this Bhuloka, okay? And hence in the Siddha Sampradaya, there is a beautiful statement, it's, for example, one of the purposes for which we go through any experience is to return back home.
True.
It's called Veedu Thirumbaradu. Veedu means home, Thirumbaradu means returning back. So that way every Jivatma goes through it with this deep feeling that, hey, I'm missing home. When will I go back home? Now in this temporary time frame that we are here in this Bhuloka, what did I come here for? When will I return back home? Okay. Now in a mini version of this is what you have described. That's how I take it. Where you have come from Bharat, India. You have come here and you feel you're not at home. So always this feeling is there, returning back home. So Veedu Thirumbaradu, when do I return back home? Now there is a beautiful, if we look at it, from the spiritual viewpoint, we have a lot of depth to, that we can use before we jump into practical solutions.
In fact, when you said this Siddha view, I thought I will add a Vedantic view here.
Wonderful.
So one day I was, in the ashram, and then very early I just started for home. That's my parents' home in the car. And then Shriman asked you have started early today. What are you going to do there? So then I asked him, what is here and what is there? And what am I doing here and what am I not doing there? So when you are the one who is here and you are the one who is going there, what is this here and there for them?
So that's a beautiful point. Actually, that is the core. When we feel that we are here but not there, or we are there but not here, do we have a separated view? No? Do we have a feel that here, and there is a separation? The core idea of coming back home is what Matrushi said, what is here, what is there? Or where is here, where is there? Once that merges, then here is there is here.
Wonderful.
So that is a very deep point, no, that we have looked at here. So Veedu Tirumbaradu is that's where the key thing to understand is what is the purpose for which a Jivatma comes to the Bhuloka. So that is categorized into Dharma, Artha, Kama. And moksha is that returning back home, phase. So as a outcome, as an intention, why do I choose to come here? Is for the purposes of, let's say, dharma, artha, kama. That means kama means pleasure. What pleasure do I gain out of it? Artha is what is the benefit? What's the benefit that I gain out of it? And dharma is what is my role? How am I contributing? Right? All these three are purposes for which we choose to come away from home, right? By which we get a fulfilling life experience, and that helps us return home, satisfied, fulfilled. Similarly, if we, from this spiritual viewpoint, if we apply it to the current discussion, then we see even coming back, coming from home, which is India, from your family, to US. Now, America has provided you with a lot of things. So, one can definitely be grateful for that, right?
True.
So, one is missing home, but it's not just we are ready to run back home, right? Because we are comfortable here, you are benefiting so much from being here. And there, if you look at it, what is the purpose that has drawn you here? So, just like from the spiritual viewpoint, in a practical sense, you are driven by dreams.
Correct.
You came here for education, you got good education, right?
Yeah.
And then with that, you could apply it in your work. Now you own a home, it's very comfortable life. And hence, the way to look at it in a practical sense is to look at it in terms of contribution. You are fine here. It's pleasurable experience here, and you have gained a lot here. Now automatically the question comes, hey, I miss home, but why would you stay here? You need a good enough reason to stay here, and let that be contribution. How do I contribute to this place? How do I contribute to the community here? Even the Indian community, largely many people might feel that they are missing home.
True.
How can you contribute? Even celebrating festivals or various things, we feel, I'm missing out on all of that.
True.
Since you're missing, that can provide you with a motivation to figure out how to be of service for others missing. True. So that way it becomes contributory in nature. Then you will see you are closer back home, because then it is not just a physical missing. Physical missing, you can travel there. But let's say you travel back there. Can you sit at home? Will you be happy with your family and friends just sitting there doing nothing?
No.
No, that's not going to be the case,
Yeah.
right? It's never going to be the case. In fact, even if you are happy, they might not be happy with
Yes.
you if you're just sitting at home.
Yeah, true.
Right? You are missing, they are also missing, fine. But let's say because you are missing so much, you take the effort to go back there and you sit at home for 2 months. After that, you'll start feeling a little restless.
They will start looking at the clock and calendar.
Yeah. You're like, okay, when are you returning back? Don't you have anything to do? So that way, the idea is very deep, where we look at what can I give, what can I contribute.
True.
We have received so much from this land. What can I give back? What can I give back to the community, to making this world a better place to live in? Then you would see that missing home is good. When you go there, it feels good, but you're also looking ahead, looking up to something. When there is nothing to look forward to, then missing home feels terrible. It feels tragic. It feels like, I need to somehow fill the vacuum that I feel, within myself, the emptiness that I feel within myself. But that's where, when we have a look ahead, when we have a positive, looking ahead, then it is in terms of a contribution. When you look at yourselves as a contributing force, you have something to give, that feels very fulfilled. Then, you go back home for a period of time, you are welcome to return back to India. That way it's not a bad thing. India is growing, and
I should
it's
check with my sisters.
practical.
Would they love to have
do,
me?
do they want you there? It's also practical, where so many people would be invested in you staying here.
Yeah.
So without their permission, you are not allowed to return back there. So when you look at it as a contributing force, then missing feels good.
Now that you're telling this, G, I'm just introspecting on whatever you told. Our friends itself are like a family here. Like when you said, I was looking on the negative aspect of it, where, I miss my family, I miss everything in India back there. But you take any, potlucks, any festives, anything, we all get together. There are like lots and lots of gangs of people who, meet, have that joy. It may be trekking, it may be hiking, it may be doing anything. We have lots of friends, colleagues who look after each other. That's like a God-gifted family is what I feel. So maybe, now that you mentioned it, I think looking at that perspective through that lens is so happy, making me happy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So the next question I have would be relationships. Now that I spoke about my friends, or let it be my family that we are doing a long distance, or with the partner, or with the children. So after coming here, it's altogether a different ball game. Because in India, we are being surrounded by many other people or many other factors. We go out, we meet relatives and all that. If you take a family here, there are just 4 people who look at their faces every day till the weekend. Until the weekend comes, that's when we meet the outside world. We go to the outside world. Sometimes, like if it's a happy family, it's really good. But to come to a point where it's a happy family, it's been a lot of struggle. It may be, I'm not just talking about the families living here. I'm talking about like someone like myself, where who have a family back in India. So the time I left that place, I was a different Namratha. And after I've come here, I'm a different Namratha, right? So the expectations or the way they saw me or everything changes. So how to have a happy and a joyful family? That's my question.
That's a very important question. It's also, many people look up to us. You would have seen, we have a happy family. And now our family is growing. We have 50 people in our family now. True. The ashram is growing. Earlier we used to be 4. Yeah. And the extended family, our parents, say my sisters or brother-in-law, and so on.
I myself joke, like my cousin has joined, has been your disciple. Then entered my sister, then entered me, then my sister, all of us, and then the other cousins are joining. All of us like, Shriman Ji, you feel that it's a family, I feel like the Jiddu, we call in Telugu. It's like, Jiddu lava patkoni, it's like that, Ji.
And isn't it fun, if you actually look at it? Yes.
Yeah, it's a blessing, yes, I would say.
That's why, when we say a family, if we look at the deeper connotation of what a family means. See, again, I'm bringing in the spiritual angle, okay? Because that the spiritual angle will give us deep insights as to how to reason out about it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we might not be enjoying what is called a family because we are stuck in a certain conditioned idea about what a family is.
Yeah.
So now for most people, a family means it's blood connection.
True.
Blood relatives we say. So related by blood. Now when we are using the term family, if you have seen your blood family is different, let's say my blood family is different, but we both feel as family.
True.
Right? So that means it's a spiritual family. So when I say I have 50 family members, and it's growing heavily, not 50 actually, much more than that now, in the, there are, it's in terms of thousands, actually, literally it's in terms of thousands.
That's what I was about to tell. For the speed of programs you and Ma do each and every day, 50 is a very minute number is what I felt.
Yes, sir. 50 is what I'm mentioning because daily we feed 50 people, in the ashram. See,
Wow.
one way of looking at family members is how many people are you feeding? See, annam, when food also connects.
Correct.
That's also family. How many people do you have to cook for? That is also an idea of family. So we are looking at multiple ideas of family here.
Just an intervention here. When you said 50 people you feed, you forgot the 40 cows that you
40
feed.
cows.
Wow, yeah.
So the 40 cows is also family because, so you can see it's not just human beings. It is basically, that's the bonding, that's the feeling. See, when we say a family, it's not physical. It's also, that feel, that you feel in a presence. For example, how do you feel, as a family?
True.
So that is the bonding that we are talking of. It's at a feel level. And that feeling is not restricted to one thing is blood relatives. Another is not even restricted to human species. You can feel as a family with the cows, the plants, the trees around you, all of this. That feeling is a very genuine spiritual feeling. And that's the idea of a family. Because the way we come into Bhuloka, we are not restricted in terms of a blood relation. But that blood relation is very important. That is the base. But if we restrict ourselves to that, that feeling does not grow. Right? That's bhava, that feeling of a family. And that is the bonding that we get. So now, if we don't understand this, in the modern educational process, we are taught objective reality. That means, to treat everything as an object.
Correct.
Where is the scope for feeling there, right? But we see human life is all about feeling. You feel one with someone else. You feel one with children. You feel one with nature. You feel one with other trees or plants or other living beings. That feeling is discounted in the modern educational process.
True.
And that's a big gap because our primary identity is in terms of feeling, but the education that we are taught is in terms of objects. It's descriptive, objective descriptions. So there is a gap. And that's where many people are suffering because of this kind of condition. So the idea of a family is all about feeling. And when you have that feel, when will you get that feel? It is when you feel bonded. What binds you? So in the case of a family, the binding is in terms of, let's say, blood relatives. You are born of the same parents, for example.
Correct.
These are your parents. These are the relatives associated with the parents. These are your siblings born from the same parents. So everything is connected. The anchoring point are your parents, is your mother. For example, that's the main anchoring point because you feel connected with them and they are connected to others, and that's how you feel connected with everyone.
Yeah.
Right? That is how the feel is sustained.
Yes.
Right? It's an active sustenance. It's not automatic.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at the core idea, here it is in terms of physical birth. Right? The feeling is sustained because of a physical process, physical birth.
Yeah.
Now, let's say, for example, you get married. You will need to sustain it. Okay? It happens, let's say marriage is another step further. Let's take the case of a friendship. When you go to school, For the first time, you are meeting someone who is not sustained by your parents. They are not directly related to your parents. But you go there, there is a frequency match, you feel good in their presence. So again, it's a feel factor. You feel comfortable in their presence. The way you will feel with your parents, comfortable, at home, you feel with another person, then a good friendship, there is a bonding that happens there.
True.
It's a feel factor.
Yes.
You feel at home. That's the critical point, you feel at home, at ease, relaxed in their presence.
Yeah.
That starts, the binding process. That feeling at peace, at home in their presence. That way a good friendship forms, and that is the bonding. And that bonding is kept up through mutual feeling, through various activities. You hang out with them, you do various things in their presence, all this, okay?
True.
Certain things might be, initially it might be directly to do with the relationship. You work in consolidating the relationship because you feel good in their presence. You actively seek out to do things. But after a certain time, it becomes stabilized, where it is not direct activity that consolidates the relationship. It is just a presence. You just hang out. In fact, you might be, I have a very close friend here in the US. For more than 10 years, we did not, contact each other. And yet, the feeling was so strong that it did not matter.
Yes, that happens to me also.
Right?
Sometimes. Yeah.
So, that way, you are not directly working towards sustaining that relationship. And yet, it is there.
Yeah.
Now take the example. Now more people look out for, say, marriage.
Yeah.
Now, a marriage partner. The same thing applies. With that person, you start feeling at home. Initially, you work, and the society around you also works towards sustaining the relationship, towards stabilizing the relationship. It is like planting a seed and then protecting the sapling till it grows into a into a big tree. Then the tree is very stable, it can protect others.
Wow.
Till then, it has to be protected.
Wonderfully kept.
Yeah. So that marriage, the relationship, initially it's like a seedling.
Yeah.
It has to be protected. There are various things at play. So one actively works towards sustaining that relationship. It's not wrong. Initially, that is done. That's how Indian marriages are also, built. You will see Vivaha Dharma. That's why it's called Dharma. It's Vivaha Dharma, where everyone has a role to play towards sustaining that relationship, which is in a sapling form. It has to be protected, then it starts growing. So initially you're doing active things towards sustaining the relationship.
In fact, you give this example of that waterbed, no?
Yes, sir. So that's a very beautiful point. Where let's say the ground is stable already. Then you're walking on it, does not cause any disturbance. But let's say you get onto a waterbed. The ground, imagine it to be a waterbed. You get onto the waterbed. Are you stable?
No.
You'll have to hold your stability, right? Let's say another person gets onto the waterbed. It directly affects your stability.
True.
So a marriage relationship is like that.
Okay, so that's when we hold hands.
Yeah.
At least we won't fall.
Yeah.
Balance out.
Or you fall together. If you fall, you also pull the other person down. And that's a good feedback. Because a marriage relationship is like a waterbed.
True.
The ground itself is shaky and you're holding hands. Because you're now bound.
Yeah.
But the binding is only in terms of holding hands. So if you fall, the other person also falls.
Yeah.
If you stabilize, that also contributes to the other person's stability. And hence you need to work in tandem to actually lead a balanced life, a balanced married life. So it's not automatic. So for most people, this understanding is not there. So when we say that bonding, again we are talking of that feeling. It's not just outward aspect. Setting up a family or a relationship is not outward, not out there. Have we set up the home? Have we done shopping? Have we bought the nice saris, jewelry, or veshti, kurta? Do we have a financial stability? All these people consider. but they miss out the biggest aspect, which is the feel factor. Does it feel home? At home? Are we providing sufficiently? Are we working concretely towards making them feel at home? This is a very important factor. If one person is not feeling appropriate, then what happens? The other person is also pulled down because of the nature of the bonding, nature of the relationship, right? That feeling is a very, very important, but that does not mean the feeling is fragile. You know, if it's all the time like handling glass, then anytime it can break.
Yeah.
That is not fun, because then we have to constantly be on the defensive. We have to be careful about each word. That's not how we behave at home, right? At home we are relaxed. Why? Because everything is taken in stride. The fundamental relationship itself is never questioned. It's like with your parents, is your relationship questioned? No, we don't touch that at all. Likewise, once marriage happens, you don't question the fundamental relationship itself. The validity of the relationship, you never question. You don't touch that. Don't go there. Having said that, then it's like the feel. Water, in fact, waterbed ideally illustrates it, because water is feel.
Yeah.
You know, feeling, bhava is actually bhava sagara. It's like a waterbed. It's constantly shifting. But in that, how to maintain stability, that over a period of time one develops. Now to this, you add other parameters. Like for example, a child. A child comes into the equation. Now, that is a very important stage, that, the child. So, if you look at it, now two people are there.
Yeah.
How do you step forward? Because stabilizing the relationship means going forward. It's not just stabilizing.
Yeah.
You need something to do together.
Yeah.
You need to envision a future where you need to flow together.
True. Follow-up question. I see most of my age or my generation who are, I just know examples who are living here, or in fact me, I get sometimes these thoughts also where, am I really eligible person to have kids? Or I've heard my friends saying, oh, it's a 20-year or 25-year project, it's a big responsibility. But sometimes this comes into my mind where my mom or my dad didn't even had any house help or my grandparents around. But happily, Amma was able to, we just grew up happily with joy. I never saw that tension in my, at least that thought in my parents where, I have 3 daughters, will I be able to, take care of them? They have provided wonderfully for us. But why is this thought coming to us at this generation? Or why is it because of over maturity or over exposure to things, or I don't know. But yeah, on the contrary, children are really a big joy, love, happiness into our lives. So, how to hata dena this thought.
Yeah. That's a very important point that you have brought up. See, again, we will connect back to what we have been discussing. It's the feel factor, right? In our education, we are not exposed to the feel factor. The bhava or the emotions are not cultivated. There is no content that cultivates emotions, right? Now, if we just look at objective education, what do we study? Math, science, language, social sciences, like that we study. Now, will this cultivate an appreciation for relationships? What is it that I look forward to? Now, with this educational background, all of us tend to look forward to what is called the idea of material prosperity.
True.
Right? We go through kindergarten to 12th standard. After that, we have to get into a college.
Yeah.
College, the whole idea of up to 12th standard is get into a good college.
Yeah.
After college, what do we look forward to? A good job.
True.
That is what we are trained, or the content is all directed towards what the idea of a job or material wealth,
True.
right, which is called artha. So that is what is cultivated. Now, into this, if we don't bring in, for example, something else, will it fit into this idea of wealth? Now, for example, if we get a job, does it fit into the idea of wealth? It directly fits in. Career progression, does it fit into the idea of wealth? It directly fits in. So we look at ourselves projecting only this idea that we have been taught.
Correct.
It's not wrong, but everywhere we have been taught that. That's why, for example, we work so hard in engineering days to come to US.
Yeah.
Because we look at it as a progression, and every individual likes to progress. Progress along the lines that they have been taught.
Correct.
Right? And what have been taught? That more wealth means you are progressing.
True.
Even countries are taught that GDP is the idea of progression.
Yeah.
In schools, we are taught that the idea of progression is marks.
True.
It has never been taught that relationships are also idea of progression.
Yes.
Right? Now this, if we actually project it further, many people, till the time they actively pursue career and so on, they are okay. But let's say after a time they feel they have achieved everything materially, then they feel empty.
Correct.
There is a crisis. That's called a midlife crisis. Like for someone who has not who does not have a diversified idea of progress. And diversified idea is not just out there, it's also in here. It's also a spiritual idea.
True.
Where have we invested in growing the idea of what it means to progress? And for this, let's bring in relationship. Now, if you see relationship, is it included in the idea of progress that you have for yourself?
True. It is.
It is.
Definitely.
Right? If you don't see it that way, then you will be forever in conflict, because you have the idea of progress where you want to progress in career, but your wife or husband, your spouse is sitting right there, not allowing you to progress. Right? That is that will lead to daily conflict, where your idea of progress does not include the other.
Yeah.
Because you have not been exposed to that. That is, the individual is not fully to blame here. It is the larger system in which we live. And that is the conflict that we are experiencing as a society. Because the feel factor has been negated.
Yeah.
In the mass education that we receive, we spend so many hours and hours going to schools, colleges, and in that, this feel factor is completely not there.
True.
It's not respected at all.
Yeah.
No, your feelings are not respected. Okay? The marks are respected. Similarly, your bank balance is respected. So
Correct.
even when you get married, it's the bank balance that is respected. But that is not sufficient. That's an incomplete idea of progress that we carry. Now, in this, you bring in the child factor.
Yes.
It definitely seems burdensome.
Yes.
Because that will definitely limit you from progressing. Right?
It is look like a regression, in fact.
Regression.
Because maybe you can't work the same way. You lose a few years of your experience.
My freedom.
Freedom.
Yeah.
So everything is related to your idea of your progress. And your progress is important for you feeling happy at the end of the day.
Yes.
Right? I have progressed. That will help you sleep peacefully.
Yes.
Or be fulfilled. But this idea itself hits a limit. Because the more you accumulate in terms of wealth, let's say now you are Lakshadipati, let's say you have tens of thousands of dollars. Will you be happy when you are a multi-millionaire? Okay, now you are a multi-billionaire. Will you be happy when you are a multi-billionaire?
No.
Like that, no. So we are not talking of a static idea at all.
Yeah.
The process of growth is inherently multidimensional. It's not unidimensional. But we have been taught only unidimensional idea of growth and progress.
True.
That's why that one has to put an effort to grow. Then including a child as part of your growth is a great idea.
True.
So that's why in the Indian system, a child, a daughter or son, is considered pradhana artha, or fundamental wealth. The greatest wealth is considered the son or daughter.
Wow.
It's not material wealth alone.
Yeah.
The greatest wealth is your son or daughter. And why not? Because then imagine the idea of progress is very, very multidimensional.
Yeah.
That is also connected to spiritual progress. Because what is it that will keep you happy, satisfied? It is not just a linear idea of progress. And that is what is causing challenges. These fundamental assumptions are causing challenges. That's why we need to re-educate ourselves.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah.
Then we are not faced with such challenges at all. Then including one member. Why one? A 20-year project or 25-year project, you might look at it as a project. There the feel factor is not reflected. That is not doing justice to it.
True.
You're deriving so much from that child in your life.
True.
Right? If the child is not there, isn't life empty?
Oh, yes.
See, you need a bigger idea without a regular family.
Or me, myself, looking back, if I am not there here, or when I am a child, or when we as a family, how much of an added advantage it was to have sisters around, or to have parents around, or a family. Now that you're telling, maybe it's a perspective of how I'm looking at things.
Exactly.
And maybe I'm so stuck on to the freedom I have versus, I'm not directly implicating to me, but I'm just putting a perspective where I'm just looking at, I have this freedom right now. Maybe.
And the freedom for what? If we look at it, freedom to be bored. Freedom to feel empty, to be in depression. That is not so freeing.
True. And now that you're telling that, even when I am little stressed out or whatever, I call my akka, or send me the videos, or I go visit the kids, and I literally am the happiest person when they're around. So that's a
So
great.
it's a change of perspective that is important
Correct.
for us in the current generation, because without that we are stuck in this perspective.
True.
Where idea of freedom is in terms of a unidimensional idea, and that leads us only so far.
Yeah.
After that we hit an emptiness,
Yeah.
which is bleak, which is dark, which is depressing.
True.
Let's not go there, because there's no point. Because the feel at that time, how will the feel be? It's dry, bleak, depressing. Let the feel be liberating.
Yeah.
And for that, the framework of progress that we have should be all inclusive, should be multidimensional. Let's recreate our educational content along these lines, and that is real freedom. Right.
Wonderful.
So children, family, all these are not negating our freedom. Now you would understand if we say that we have thousands of family members, how much joy we should have.
Yeah.
Is that restricting our freedom? Never.
No, including.
Yeah.
So actually, I thought I'll go back to the first question, where I just thought, before even I was not used to these terms called Jivatma, or coming into this world, or I did not have any access to any of these terms or any of this knowledge before. So I would like to ask how, or even in fact my friends might be thinking, like, when I speak about these things, they're like, what happened to you? What is this you're talking? What are these new terminologies? Did you take up sannyasam? Or all these questions come, and then, but when why I was questioning myself, why I was so much interested. So once I was introduced to the knowledge systems that you have given me, or introduced me into, it was so liberating. Like each and every aspect, like I used to sit back maybe 5 years or 6 years ago, where it was a loop of things. Take it health, take it wealth, take it relationship, take it anything. Okay, everything was a loop. Like finances, I'm not doing so great. Even though I've come here to, have a good finance or health, health is always at a troll. Here especially, I don't know, because I don't have access to Amma's food or whatever. I don't trust my cooking skills, but we are all YouTube batch. We call ourselves YouTube batch for cooking, or in fact for the puja, doing puja and all that. So this is a loop of things that I always felt, Ji. So how you have provided me access to so many things, like it was so liberating for me. I thought if you could give us few more details on how I can get access to all these knowledge systems, and that would definitely be an added bonus to all of us. Yeah.
Yes, this is a very powerful point that you have made. See, our idea of ourselves, or let's say we are living, to be able to understand the nature of our experience, we need knowledge. Right? That is where knowledge becomes helpful.
True.
For example, let's say we are here. Now, if we look around, we see only walls. Okay. Now, if we just are comfortable with our lived experience, then we would not even know where we are.
Yeah.
To know where we are, we need access to, let's say, a maps.
Correct.
Which will give us, the more detailed the map, the more complex the map, the more comprehensive the map, it will help us describe the state of our experience. What is meant by here? What is meant by now? That we can describe with the access to knowledge that we have.
True.
The deeper the knowledge, the deeper access to the collective knowledge base, the better we will be able to situate ourselves in here and now.
True.
Otherwise, it's just what we see. What we see and hear is just, these four walls.
Yeah.
Right? And in that, if some experience, something were to happen, then we would not be able to understand the nature of the experience. When we don't understand it, then we might feel stuck, or we might have fear.
Yeah.
We could have such responses. So that's where, to be able to, for example, here, since we are in the US, if we hear a knock, okay, I have seen many people respond with panic.
Oh, yes.
Oh, who's here? I'm not expecting anybody. Or a honk. Yeah. In India, we are used to see. It's like during Deepavali, we are expecting Dhool Dhamaka, like dome, and hence you are not in shock.
Yeah.
Here, if there is a dome, we are in shock.
Yeah.
Oh, what happened?
Even the dog cannot bark.
So you cannot hear a honk. So why would that shock us? All of us try to understand, try to categorize the nature of the experience. That gives us a level of comfort. If we are not able to categorize the nature of our experience, then gradually there will be a feeling that either we are stuck, or we have fear, or we don't know where our life is heading.
Correct.
We could have an idea that my life is not meaningful. So I'm trying to relate it with a simple experience to a complex experience like our life itself, where the idea of meaning itself is dependent on the knowledge system that you are exposed to.
Yeah.
Where otherwise there is a problem of looking at one's own life as meaningless.
Yes.
Because what gives meaning to one's own life? It's not just your sensory experience, right? You're just going about your life. Daily you're doing whatever you're doing. But the meaning is added by the knowledge exposure that you have. And hence in current state, many people have hit a roadblock in terms of finding their life to be meaningful.
True.
Because of the lack of access to knowledge system, a comprehensive knowledge system that describes life for them. In modern education, for example, there is no access to a knowledge system that describes life itself.
True.
it is describing objective phenomena. It's not describing, what is meant by life itself. So that's where the knowledge system becomes very, very important. A comprehensive knowledge system that gives us a clarity with respect to what is meant by life in deeper and deeper layers. That adds meaning and value to our lived experience. Otherwise, the experience can be random, ad hoc at best. And over a period of time, one can feel it's incoherent life. It's meaningless. What is the value of my life? What is the purpose of my life? So, if we have such questions, then we need a knowledge system to be able to give us appropriate explanations.
Correct.
Without that, it's not easy to figure out.
True.
I'm just doing what I'm doing. For example, in the US, you would be experiencing this. Your daily life is scheduled.
Yes.
Right? You wake up, you do this, you do that, and weekend you do this again. Again, it's like a routine.
Yeah.
And hence, when we travel around, when we meet a lot of people, many of them express the mechanical nature of their lives.
Yeah.
And hence, they seek a deeper understanding as to what is the purpose of their life. Why am I doing what I'm doing?
True.
These questions, if we need to answer them, you need access to a deeper knowledge base, which is what we call the Indian knowledge system. It's a knowledge system which helps you meaningfully understand every aspect of your life, both objective and subjective.
Yes.
The entire spectrum.
Yeah.
That is very critical. Now, the modern educational knowledge that we have been exposed to gives us a partial understanding with respect to just the objective process. With math, physics, chemistry, biology, all these describe objective phenomena.
True.
But a comprehensive knowledge system describes both subjective and objective phenomena as a full spectrum.
Yeah.
And that is very important. And that's when we use terms like Jivatma, we are coming to Bhuloka. These are describing what is outside the current knowledge exposure in terms of just objective phenomena, right? So a deeper knowledge base. So we are just increasing the spectrum of reasoning using appropriate terminologies, which are not available in modern discussions.
Yes.
That does not mean it's not there.
Yeah.
So when we encounter deeper questions, to be able to make sense of deeper experiences, or when we feel stuck, when we feel why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the purpose of my life? We need to increase the scope of reasoning, and that is by getting exposed to the Indian knowledge process.
Like for example, like now yoga is there.
Yes.
People are also gaining awareness on Ayurveda.
Correct.
Because food is always a question on everybody's mind.
I was about to go there actually. Yeah.
What to eat and what not to eat, right? So that way Ayurveda is there. And even people just knowing about the history of the past, like in the sense of the rich cultural heritage, that itself creates a lot of awakening and connection to, like the first question that you asked, when you feel alienated from that land, then knowing the past, knowing the richness really connects you to that place. And then anyway, you have other, astronomy for that matter, whatever, depending on one's fascination. And of course, you have the philosophical systems which help you to answer the larger questions. It could be from the Bhagavad Gita, it could be from Vedantic works, it could be from the Yoga Shastras. These also help to understand and reflect on the larger questions. In fact, the Puranas, reading the Puranas can actually reveal so much about where we came and where we will be going and all that.
True.
Yeah. And this rightly points in the direction of exposure.
Yeah.
What current, what your friends are describing, or what your extended family is describing, is in terms of the knowledge exposure, and that is what is their comfort zone. So the terminologies that you are using, like Jivatma and so on, can be slightly disrupting because they are not used to those terms. But it's nothing else than the knowledge system.
Yes.
And that's why a commitment to deepening our knowledge becomes very important. Deepening our the exposure to the Indian knowledge processes is very important. And that way our lives can have a deep meaning. It will become a really awesome life, when we have the right knowledge frameworks to describe the state of our experience. That's where the knowledge system or the knowledge frameworks can be limiting or liberating. Let's live liberated.
Wow, thank you so much, Shriman ji. It was not just a thank you for the podcast. It was also a thank you that my suffering, which was there throughout my life, with respect to many other things, health or whatever it was, all of them were in a fraction of this knowledge. You just changed everything. I'm really thankful, not just mine, my family, or whoever is associated with you. I'm really thankful for that, to you and Ma.
And
Thank
you would
you
see,
very much.
and you would see, we are just what we are describing is nothing new. It is our Rishi Parampara. It is our Siddha Parampara. It is the knowledge has always been there, and that's why enabling access to it is what is critical in these times. That way, all jivas, all jivatmas can live fulfilled. And for that, our Rishi Parampara, our Siddha Parampara, our Bharatiya Jnana Parampara becomes very, very useful.
And who is exposed to it, even if it's a little bit, should take the effort to expose others to these knowledge systems.
Correct.
That way, whatever suffering is there can be alleviated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that is the idea of well-being,
Yeah.
where Indian knowledge systems leads to global well-being.
Wow. Super. Thank you. Thank you, Ji. Thank you, Ma.